We now take you to the broadcast of It's Time with Reverend Nathaniel W. Martin. Here is Reverend Martin.
Thank you, Dr. Blackwell. And let me say Hotep, Habarigani, to my Africana Studies colleagues and professors and academics and researchers and seekers after the truth all. And let me say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but certainly never good night and not ever goodbye, because I find goodbyes traumatizing. I said I find goodbyes traumatizing. My name is the Reverend Nathaniel Wayne Martin. I'm the pastor of the New Life Institutional Baptist Church here in the city of Los Angeles, and we're located at 8916 South Main Street, and we're being hosted by our sister church, the Shiloh Missionary Christian Church, which is pastored by my good friend, the Reverend Dr. Della F. Hollinis. And we welcome you to our services, and we invite you to stop by and give you a warm welcome and invitation to come and worship with us at any and all times, okay? And again, we're located at 8916 South Main Street. Don't look at the Google listing, because we are not at that location anymore. They failed to relocate us, but I'm telling you where we are, so you take my word for it. Don't believe Google. As far as our location, yes, we're still very much alive, still pressing on and doing God's will at our 8916 South Main Street location, and we're being hosted by our sister church, the Shiloh Missionary Christian Church, and we'll be, as they say, alive and kicking until Jesus come back and say, well done. All right? All right. And this offering that you are viewing is our social justice offering, and there are a lot of offerings to choose from, presentations, but this is a social justice offering because we do not practice Christianity in a bubble or a vacuum. We are out here, I'm out here with you, and you're out here with me, and I don't know what your politics are, and you don't know what my politics are, and we're just hoping that we don't kill one another, and that we can find common ground and enough God in each of us to love one another. And that is the way Jesus, of course, intended it, because he came down here to save us sinners, did he not? And he had to confront the world of his day, which even though his own people, as it were, condemned him to death, he loved them until the end, and he was able to finish his task that God the Father had placed in his hands. And we are his disciples and his followers, and we must emulate and imitate his example. He went about doing good, and so we must likewise go about doing good, bringing good, resisting the evil, as the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Demonstrated so ably. And if we do that, and we help one another, and serve one another, and love one another, then I think we can overcome a lot of the evil that is extant in our present circumstances, which are quite dire. Of course, when I was born, it was bad, and we have made some adjustments and improvements, but it's still bad. Thank God we don't have to go in the back door no more, and you can get your hamburger by coming in the front door, and not like me when I was a child growing up there. It's a little barefoot boy in Houston. We had to go to the back door of the hamburger stand and knock on the door and wait for somebody to say what you want, and we give them our order, and we had to stand out there over the cesspool drainage and smells and wait for our hamburger, and then pay our money and go away. But so things have really improved, and as John Lewis said, if anybody don't believe it, tell them to come talk to me. I can tell them what it was. And so we are thanking God for the blessings of liberty that we do enjoy, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which is a lifelong pursuit, because I find as I grow older that keeping up with my health makes me happy. If I can wake up every morning and tell God thank you for another day's journey, I'm happy. But enough of that. Let us look at the events, and we need to pray for our brothers and sisters in Syria and Turkey who are undergoing the aftermath of that terrible earthquake. And when I left home a few minutes ago, it was over 23,000 dead that they had found, and kind of touched my heart when one dead person, adult, they raised the adult's arm up, and under there was a little bitty baby. But of course, and thank God the baby was still alive, and they were able to bring the dead mother out and the living child out. Such things make you pray and be prayerful, and just pray to God that such things will soon stop happening in our world. All right, when we see these type of things, then we know that what Jesus said, when you see earthquakes in diverse places, that know that the end is nigh, and it is at the very doors, but the end is not yet. And so we have a lot of more disasters, according to the scriptures, to occur before Jesus shall return. So don't be weary in well-doing, for in due time we shall reap if we faint not. All right? Okay, I went to the memorial service, Brother Chuck Hamilton, on last night, and we sent our regards to his mother and his children and his family. And he was only 39 when he passed away, and we in the music community and in the gospel quartet community owe a lot to Brother Chuck Hamilton. And so his funeral will be this coming Monday at 11 at City Refuge Church. I just mentioned that for the local people that may happen to view this in time to get there. All right, Brother Chuck Hamilton, first name Charles, we call him Chuck. All right, so and death is still in our midst and taking us, the young away, and taking the old away likewise. So don't get too comfortable because you're young. Amen. Because death can tap on any of our doors at any hour, and we will be shocked to say at the news reports. All right. Now, we notice that there is a move afoot, a very quiet, subtle, stealthy move by the Republican Party to challenge Social Security. And let me remind you, Social Security was the most successful government program that was ever invented in this nation, and it didn't start until Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 1935, same year that Italy invaded and went to war in Ethiopia, and they allowed the Italian Americans here in America to volunteer to go and fight against the Ethiopians, but the black Americans that wanted to go and fight on the side of the Ethiopians, they were denied. I think I misspoke. I said the Italians, Americans here, were allowed to go and join the Italians to fight against the Ethiopians. But the black people here that wanted to go and help the Ethiopians fight against the Italians were denied visas to leave this country. But that's the year that, pardon me, y'all, Social Security began. And under Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and of course for the first 20 years, one of the stipulations that the Southern Democrats, Dixiecrats at that time, as they were called, which included Bill Bo Rankin, Eastland, and all of that milieu, they said they could not, the federal government could not include any domestic workers and any farm laborers. Well, the domestic workers and the farm laborers at that time were my people. We worked in Miss Ann's kitchen, as we called it. We had to work in Miss Ann's house. It didn't matter whether you had a PhD or master's degree, a bachelor, or even a high school diploma. That was the only work that most of us were allowed to have. And so that means for the majority of black people, we were not included in the what they call the old age and survivors insurance, which grew out of the Great Depression, where so many millionaires were made poor, and so many rich white people committed suicide because they saw all of the value of their stocks and investments plunge. A lot of white folk jumped out of the building. Negroes didn't jump out because we was on the ground anyway. We weren't allowed, in other words, into that rarefied air. Now, Madam C.J. Walker and Miss Malone and a few others were the exception to the rule. But for the vast amount of us, we were all very poor. And I mean poor, not poor, poor. And so it was the white people who were committing suicide. And it began to be such a burden on the churches and the people that Franklin Delano Roosevelt, in one of his fireside chats, said the security that we need is the security that you will have something, some financial to fall back on when your laboring days are behind you, or your working days are over. That's what they call old age and survivors insurance. And and as I said, the Southerners told Roosevelt, if you want us to work with you, then you must find a way not to include the Negro in this program. And so that was the deal that Roosevelt made with the Southerners in order to get the New Deal and the Social Security Act passed. Miss Frances Perkins was another person that you need to study about. She was very, very, very influential in not only designing that program, but getting it through Congress. It wasn't all Roosevelt. Miss Roosevelt, Miss Bethune, Miss Frances Perkins, and others of that ilk, they really shepherded that program all the way through Congress. And so, but as I said, it's been the most successful government program because when you they take your most productive years, or working years, was 35 years that they say are your most productive, and they take your highest level of earnings on that scale, 35 years, and that's what they govern what your old age pension will be. And we a lot of us wouldn't have made it, would not have made it without Social Security. So you may call it, you can laugh at it if you want to, but a lot of people depend on that Social Security check. And thank God it's there. It's something that comes every month. It's in the bank, because they used to send it in the mail, but the folks got so many post office people were getting killed that the government said, well, no, we want everybody to have open up a bank account, and we will send your check directly to your bank account, so you won't have to. The postman won't be in danger for having your check in his possession. And then the thieves and robbers will befall him and take all of the mail in order to get those checks. But I don't want to digress. I'm talking about the fact that the Republicans are trying to undermine Social Security again, which is not the first time, because it's been under attack ever since it was first came into being. As we said, in order for the first 20 years, the colored people, the Negroes, or the blacks, as you call them now, were forbidden to be in Social Security. And who was the president in 1954? I think it was Truman. That made it possible for the Negro to be included in 1954. From then on, we were covered by Social Security. And then in 1962, in the 1960s, John Fitzgerald Kennedy signed a law that you could start getting Social Security at 62 years old. That's what it was. That's where the 62 come in. But it was only for men. Think about that. And that was John Fitzgerald Kennedy. But it was only for men. I don't know how did they regard women? Well, they regarded women as not in the labor force, evidently. Although the women have been working since this country started, especially the black women. And but Kennedy made it possible for people to start getting their Social Security at the age of 62, but men only. And there was another president down the road, and that made it possible for everybody, regardless of their gender, instead of starting drawing Social Security at 65, you could draw it 3 years earlier at 62. And so those were the advances in the Social Security program. And then, of course, Lyndon Baines Johnson brought Medicare to what it is now. That's why all the Republicans hate Medicare. That's why all the Republicans hate Social Security, because it's a Democratic program that worked. And, of course, Johnson was strong enough to twist arms and kick behind and tell folks, you're going to get behind this Medicare program. So that's why we have Medicare. So every program that really worked that would help the poor, the Republicans have always had it in their bullseye to overcome it or defund it. And the rumor has it that Rick Scott, which is a congressman from Florida, this is the white Rick Scott, not the black Rick Scott, has tried to put through a bill that all government programs would sunset in 5 years unless reaffirmed or reapproved per the Congress of the United States. And so they've always had Social Security in the bullseye. As a matter of fact, George G.W. Bush, he tried to put through a program where everybody on Social Security would be able to invest their money in the stock market. And you know what that would mean. That would mean all of the stock market people would earn big commissions from signing up everybody that was on Social Security, and then they would earn big commissions when your investment failed, and then you were left out there with nothing. But fortunately, it was not successful, not for want of trying, that these Republicans have sought to undermine Social Security ever since it was instituted. And I know this is kind of domestic, and I hope you don't tune out, but some things need to be said and put before the people. And so now they're still attempting to undermine as it were, Social Security, and you can't go by what Mitch McConnell is saying, because remember, Mitch McConnell said that they would not go into the nomination and the approval of a Supreme Court justice this close to an election. And then he double-crossed everybody by doing just that. And they put Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, and Neil Gorsuch on the Supreme Court, and Amy Coney Barrett on the Supreme Court, all the same time, while saying it was too close to the end of the election, and we would let the next Congress do that, but when it suited their purpose, they did the exact opposite. So what am I saying? You cannot trust a politician. And I'll go by what he said. You have to be on your guard. That's why you have to see what they are doing and what they are saying, and check what they said. And thank God for these video machines, because you can go back and make them eat their words, even though they would tell you book, chapter, and verse where you misunderstood and you're parsing my words and all of that type of thing. But bottom line is, you have to stay on guard if you intend to have Social Security when you get old. And believe me, if you live, you're going to get old. And you may not like it, but take it from me, I'm a Social Security beneficiary, and thank God for that little Social Security check. Not that I got to depend on it, but I'm sure glad it's there. And then my government benefits, which is also a SSA, Social Security Amendment, helps out quite a bit. So do not poo-poo Social Security. And please, if you don't need it, don't knock it. Because it's just like reparations. You may not approve of it, but you're sure entitled to it. I'll put it that way. All right. Now, as we go on into the roundhouse, the only other thing, like I said, I should is the Ukraine situation. And, you know, somebody said, follow the money, follow the money. And when you follow the money, you find out that there, of course, Biden had said that if Russia invaded Ukraine, then that Nord Stream project would be blown up. And back in September, October of last year, they blew up that Nord Stream 2 pipeline. So that means that Russia has to continue to send this gas through Ukraine to reach Germany. And what Russia was doing with the Nord Stream 2 pipeline was bypassing Ukraine. And so that pipeline that they were building from Vyborg in Russia would go through Finland, Sweden, Denmark, and on into Germany. Whereas the old line went straight out of Russia into Ukraine and then on down and to reach Germany. That's why when Biden was trying to corral the nations of Europe, they didn't want to go along with the United States, because they get their gas supplies and their fuel from Russia. And just because the United States is not dependent on Russian gas doesn't mean that Europe is not dependent on Russian natural gas and oil. You get the picture? And so that's why the United States has had a hard time getting Germany. You know, and that's why Zelensky is going to go to Britain with its bloody hands to try to get Britain to give them airplanes so that they can attack the Russian Federation with, because the United States so far, has shook his head as it relates to arming the Ukrainian government with airplanes. But now they're going to give them the German Leopard tank, Tiger tank, the old Tiger tank, and the United States is going to supply them with the Abrams tank, and so they'll be able to, I guess, defend themselves or launch an offense against Russia and drive them out of Kiev and the Crimea and all of those places where the Russians have made inroads. And remind you, it's wintertime over there, and it was in winter that Napoleon met his Waterloo, and it was in winter that Hitler's tanks froze because he ran out of fuel out there in that Russian landscape. It's cold in Russia in the wintertime, and more than one nation has come to its denouement, or to its destruction, by attacking the Russians in the dead of winter. And so the Russians are planning to continue their attack, and I guess they're waiting for the Ukrainians to invade and feel that hostile Russian winter. But anyway, it's going to be interesting the next 6 months since the United States has blown up. I forgot to mention that. The United States sabotaged the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. That's the one that was going to, like, this is Ukraine right here. Okay, now this is Russia right here. And that pipeline was coming through Ukraine and going on into Germany. All right, but then that second pipeline was not going to come through Ukraine. It's going to come out over here and go to these other 5 countries that I mentioned, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, and on into Germany. And the Russians were going to, in other words, were going to bypass Ukraine since they were attacking Ukraine in the process. And this is going to cost Ukrainians a lot of money because the money is not coming in, because the Russians are going to stop shipping oil over here in this pipeline. They're going to ship oil out over here and come around and come to Germany. So that is what the United States, in fact, Biden said they were going to destroy that pipeline, and they did. Remember, that pipeline was encased in so many feet of cement, and it was premium steel, that they said that pipeline would last 100 years down there under the Baltic Sea. And now you done blowed it up. Excuse me, done blowed a big leak in that. You know, that thing don't spring no leak. No. It was sabotage. Remember, there was 2 pipelines down there. You know, one going this way and one coming this way. And they blew up both of them. That's why they said it was sabotage, because it couldn't have been that the one going this way sprung a leak and this one going here sprung a leak at the same time, in the same place. So the CIA is still at work. You know, the white folks fighting the white folks. God bless them. Let them go at each other. So in this way, it's going to impact now Germany, because, like I said, they're depending on Russia for 39% of their natural gas and fuel oil for the winter. And so this is going to be a big wrinkle and something that is going to have to be dealt with. Like I said, follow the money, and you'll always find out what's really going on. So the reason why Zelensky is so hell-bent on the United States helping them out, because they know they're losing a lot of money from that natural gas if they don't defeat Russia. And so don't believe that flag waving. Watch the money. Follow the money. What else was I going to say? The gas oil company name is Gazprom. They spell it with a Z, Gazprom. And you know how those gas companies are. You know, over here you got Shell and you got Chevron and you got Standard Oil and all of them, but they're all in cahoots. Basically all over the world, the same company. And like Royal Dutch Shell, you know, that Shell service station that you go, that's Royal Dutch. They go way back over yonder. And so they're in the oil business. And so one hand is washing the other. But of course my time is up. But there goes my labor. And you see how the unions and the labor go together. And that's why I always tell you, if you're working on a job and they don't want to pay you, honey, take my advice and don't work for them. Thank you, Doc. Love you. Praying for you. All right.